Welcome to the PT Daily Show. Happy Friday morning. Hope your day is off to a great start. My name is Alan. I'm happy to be your host today. Currently have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating Officer for the Institute of Clinical Excellence and a faculty member in our Fitness Athlete Division. Today is Fitness Athlete Friday. We talk about working with CrossFitters, Olympic weightlifters, and powerlifters. Some courses coming your way. You can join Mitch next weekend down in Texas with Guillermo for Fitness Athlete Live. If you're up in Casper, Wyoming, you can catch Dustin for Modern Managers with Older Adult Live. And if you're going to be out on the West Coast, you can join Justin Dunaway for Total Spine Thrust Manipulation in Simi Valley, California. Online courses, my course, Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations, that I teach with Mitch Babcock, Guillermo Contreras, and Kelly Binfey, has already sold out for next week. Your next chance to join us will be December 6th. And then we have Rehab of the Injured Runner online starting September 21st. And that is 8 weeks online with Jason, Megan Peach, and Rachel Selena. So let's talk about handstand push-ups. First of all, why? A number of different reasons. Maybe the most important, they're fun, right? When things are fun, we do them more often. Exercise adherence and satisfaction go up. So they're fun. We like to do them. People want to get better at them. We should encourage anything that generates more fitness. Second, it tells us a lot in our PT brain about shoulder strength and stability. That if we can press our weight up against gravity, we know we probably have a very strong, a very stable shoulder. And finally, it adds movement variation into our training. Yes, we can strict press with a barbell or a dumbbell all day long, but that can get boring. That can also get repetitive. We know that repetitive training leads to injury. The reason CrossFit is one of the safest ways to exercise is because we have a lot of movement variation. And with that comes the handstand push-up. Now, it can be an easy argument to say, I never often find myself in life upside down pressing against gravity. While we know that to be the case, again, we have the fun aspect and the movement variation. So first things with the vertical press aspect is it is indeed a vertical press. We are pressing directly overhead with weight. We are not doing a horizontal press of our chest. No amount of regular push-ups, deficit push-ups, elevated push-ups, or bench press is going to develop the shoulder in the same way that is going to make us better at handstand push-ups. So it is a vertical press, not a horizontal press. Different movement pattern, some shared muscles, but not all the same. So we need to understand we need to be training vertical pressing if we want to get better at handstand push-ups. Now, the other aspect to this, aside from shoulder strength and the vertical pressing capacity, is that we need to be comfortable getting inverted. Some folks are not comfortable being upside down. They've maybe never been upside down in their whole life. Maybe even you're going to find out when they get upside down that they're dealing with some vertigo or dizziness issues upside down. So that can be a limiting factor in handstand push-ups, is getting comfortable being upside down. So getting comfortable kicking up and getting comfortable handstand holding overhead are going to be crucial, and we'll cover that here in a few minutes. Now, we look at a continuum of the handstand push-up. Down here is strict overhead pressing capacity, barbell pressing, dumbbell pressing, and at the very end is maybe a deficit handstand push-up moving through an increased range of motion under tension. And we have a whole bunch in the middle. Oftentimes in the gym, we see when we travel around, people are just kicking up to the wall. They don't really have the strength to be up there. They're using 5 or 6 Admax. Their range of motion looks like this. They're not working too much of anything. So we need to find a good regression along that continuum that's going to challenge that athlete and move them towards handstand push-ups. The first is understanding that it is a vertical press and using something like a dumbbell Z press to press overhead, right? There we go. It is vertical. What this can tell us, if someone is weak in the core or the shoulders, they're going to lean back. They're going to turn this into a bench press and leverage the chest more. We don't want that. We want to keep it vertical. So Z press can be a good place to start with athletes. It's also a great regression for pregnant and postpartum athletes. Anybody dealing with head injury for whatever reason they can't get upside down, Z press is awesome. From the Z press, we move to the Pike push-up. Gonna move the camera down a bit here. So the Pike helps us understand this tripod position, that I'm not pressing straight in line with my shoulders or even behind my head. I'm pressing out in front of me. So the Pike on all fours, set up our tripod with our hands. Athletes need to understand I need to touch the top of my head out in front of my hands and form that tripod. And now I'm not pressing straight up. This is just a push-up. I need to get that vertical press in there. I need to bring my head back through my shoulders in my pike. So oftentimes in a workout, especially with a lot of handstand push-ups, pike is a really good scale option as folks are working on handstands. Now when that becomes too easy, when you can do a whole bunch of those unbroken, we need to increase the challenge by bringing in a box. So, a wood box, very, very crucial, because a soft box will flip on you when you put your feet up on it. So, getting the feet up on the box and still understanding it is a piked position. So I want to be in this hip flexed position. And now same idea, tripod position, touch my forehead, press towards the box. Touch my forehead, press towards the box, training that tripod vertical press motion. As those get easy, we can flip the box up to the 24-inch side, then the 30-inch side, and then from there, we're ready to get up on the wall. So athletes may spend some time here, maybe weeks, months, maybe years here in the pike position. This is a safe position as well for those folks who just don't want to get upside down, who say, no matter what, coach, you're not getting me on that wall. Okay, we're gonna do some high elevated pikes. That's still gonna train that vertical press pattern and smoke your shoulders out in a way that's gonna be challenging. But once we're ready to move on from the box, we're ready for holds. With holds, your biggest friend is going to be a whole bunch of Admax. I like to start with 3 or 4 when we're practicing holds. The key to being against the wall is you want your head closer to the wall than your hands, but you don't want to be right up against the wall because then you will be pressing purely vertical, which is going to affect your mechanics. You want to have your head away a little bit. What's nice about the Admax is it does that for you. With the Admax in the way, you can't have your head right up against the wall. You're going to have your head a little bit away and then your hands further away than that. And from here, we're kicking up. Folks can try to kick up on their own. Really emphasize that it's an aggressive throwing of the legs against the wall. The wall is going to support some portion of our body weight. Our feet are going to be against the wall, the lower part of our legs, and take some percentage of our body weight off of our shoulders and make it easier to do our handstand push-ups and our holds. Sometimes you may need to assist an athlete overhead just to help them get the feeling of kicking up, but with enough practice, they'll get comfortable kicking up and they'll be in that nice tripod position. When they're first starting, what's nice is that if they crash down, the ab mat is right there, right? I can stay here all day long, I don't feel in danger, and then I can kick back down and try some more holds. I like to see folks be able to do a couple rounds of 30 seconds to a minute of a handstand hold with some rest in between to know that we're ready to start playing with the next progression, which are strict handstand negatives. So that's probably too many Admax for me. I don't have a lot of range of motion anyways to go through. So start with some Admax, and all we're gonna do here is get comfortable with that kick up and then lower ourselves down into a negative, making sure we are controlled through the whole range of motion. If we dump the bottom, we never train the strength there. And what that translates into is that when I go to press, I don't have any strength there. So making sure it's controlled through whatever range of motion they're working with. And then as they develop capacity, take more and more Admax away. Once somebody can show you a couple negatives all the way through the range of motion, they're ready to play with strict and they're ready to play with kipping. The key is, just like with the pike, we need to press out away from the wall on our strict handstand push-ups. That as my head touches and I press out, I need to come away from the wall and get my head back through my shoulders. Just like if we were pressing with a barbell, we would not press in line with our shoulders or behind our head. We would be out in front, press, bring our head through, press, bring our head through. With that, we can do strict and bring the Admax back in. Strict handstands to 3 Admax, to 2 Admax, to 1 Admat. We can also begin to play with kipping handstand push-ups. The kip is the bringing of the knees towards the chest and an aggressive extension of ankle, hip, and knee to generate momentum from the core and help press out on our handstand push-up. So we get up into our hold, drop our head, knees to chest, kip, knees to chest, kip, and now we can start to generate a lot of reps in a short amount of time, increase that power output in a workout. So that is our strict and kip. From there, what's next? On the far end of the continuum, something that only folks who have a lot of strict and kipping capacity should be working is the deficit handstand push-up. Deficits often in the gym are done by adding some plates. So instead of your hands going on the floor, they go on plates, and now we are moving through a bigger range of motion. I myself have messed up my shoulder going to deficits too soon. Make sure we have a lot of strict capacity, a lot of kipping capacity before we play with deficit. Other than that, it looks just the same. Our hands are on plates, but that's really the only thing that has changed. Now I'm moving through a bigger range of motion. It's gonna make both strict and kipping handstands harder. More range of motion, more strength required, more stability required. Make sure folks have a lot of strict and a lot of kipping capacity before they work deficit. How to get better at deficit once you're ready for them? Just like how we got to strict and kipping handstand push-ups to begin with. Working a lot of negatives. Kicking up, lowering down through the increased range of motion as a strict handstand, and either kipping back up or kicking down, kicking back up, and working some negatives. Just like pull-ups, maybe something like 5 sets of 3, 2 or 3 seconds down. You can add in a pause on the bottom and then kip up or kick back down and work the negatives that way. Playing with increasing the deficit as the capacity increases. All the way up to parallel handstand push-ups, which I believe is a 13-inch deficit, which is quite extreme. But getting to deficits requires we're really solid on our strict and kipping handstand push-up capacity first. What can be helpful if you're working with fitness athletes in the clinic is to have these rhomboid mats that are a couple inches of really nice foam, way better than slamming your head into concrete or onto turf or carpet, which can burn your head up. I did a workout at a gym once that had all turf, and I did a whole bunch of handstands on the turf, and I had like literally a pretty severe burn on my skull for a couple of weeks after that. So these mats can be nice if you have fitness athletes in the clinic and you're going to be helping them with their handstand push-ups. These are what we use. I use this at home here in the garage, and we have a bunch of these at the gym that we use on handstand push-up day versus having our head against the floor of the gym floor. So that can be a nice purchase. They're about $50 each, so not too much to grab 1 or 2 of those. So the handstand push-up, why? It's fun. Yes, we don't often find ourselves upside down pushing against gravity in daily life, but it's cool and fun to do in the gym, and cool and fun stuff makes us more likely to come to the gym that day and increase our fitness and live longer. It also tells us a lot about shoulder stability and strength of the shoulder complex, and it tells us a lot about movement variation in training, that if we can vary movements, we're not training the same pattern all the time, we are less likely to be injured. How to get there? Understand it's a vertical press. It is a tripod position with head closer to the wall than the hands. Same thing on the ground is that if we're doing pikes or elevated pikes, our hands are closer to the box and we're trying to touch our forehead out and then push back through to the box. Out, back through. Train that vertical press motion, not a horizontal press motion. Getting comfortable kicking upside down and being upside down with a handstand hold. Working things like the dumbbell or barbell Z-press to train shoulder strength or to sub out for handstands when somebody is not able to do them for whatever reason. And then taking folks along that progression from the pike on the floor, elevated pike up on the box, to kicking up to static holds, to working strict negatives, to strict handstands, to keeping handstands, and all the way to deficit at the far end of the continuum. So that's everything I know about handstand push-ups. I personally love them. It makes sense because I have really stumpy arms and I have almost no range of motion to go through for handstands, so I particularly love them. Some longer armed athletes may hate them, but I love them. So I hope that helps. Would love to answer any questions or discussion you all have about the handstand push-up. If you're going to be down in Atlanta with Mitch this weekend, have a great weekend. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.